Hello everyone, I am Braun-Duin, and I'm joined again by
CVM.
We are here for another Versus video, this time with Cons of Tarkir cards.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, first time with some Cons cards, so let's jump.
Second time.
Second time. We did play Modern with
the old Soul Tie Charm.
Polluted Deltas and Flooded Strands and so forth, Soul Tie Charm. Today I'm going to be battling with an Esper control deck.
Everyone's favorite from the last 12 months.
Yeah, everyone's favorite archetype. Mainly the reason I chose to battle with this is because it is something that I haven't heard anyone talking about, and I wanted to see if this kind of a deck is even playable at all. So losing Supreme Verdict and cards like that, Sphinx's Revelation, hurts a lot. Hurts a significant amount. So I wanted to see if this style of deck is a kind of deck that could actually still be a contender even with all those losses. So that's why I put this together. And it does get some help from Cons of Tarkir. So for one, we get mana-based help in terms of Polluted Delta and Flooded Strand, which are going to allow us to play more basics, which means that we're not going to be shocking ourselves like the old decks did as much. So hopefully that means overall we'll cut down on the amount of damage we deal to ourselves with lands. Also, we can use Urborg to tap those for black mana and not have to fetch later in the game. It is very nice. We also have a couple of removal spells here. So Utter End, I think, is an extremely powerful spell. Basically, it is Vindicate. Can't hit lands, but is instant speed and it exiles instead of destroys.
Which is extremely important because of all of the gods are indestructible. So a card like Koranos would be very good against this deck. Something like Thassa, if a blue devotion type deck is actually playable at some point, is very good against these kind of decks. Also, it gives you a way to handle Sarkhan, the Dragon Speaker, which is going to be very good. Yeah,
we can exile Sarkhan. Even if we let him become a creature, we can still exile him. So there's a lot of sweet things that can happen there. Another sweet card, too, which also goes really well with fetch lands, is Murderous Cut. Costs 4 and a black, destroy target creatures, very simple card, but it has Delve. So you can exile any number of cards from your graveyard to reduce the casting cost by a colorless mana. So if we exile 4 cards from our graveyard, it's just black, destroy target creature.
Yep, so now that there's not something like Elixir of Immortality, you're not trying to just play this infinitely long game, we can use our cards like Fetch Lands, Thoughtseizes, Divinations that we're playing in the early game to be able to just play Murderous Cut is just like a one black mana. So I imagine as the format continues to evolve, I think it's going to be a very important card, and I think we're going to see more than just one of in decks as we move forward.
Yeah, I only wanted one in this deck because I don't have a lot of graveyard type stuff, but I can imagine a variety of decks where you want to just play 4. And if you, especially like a Satyr Wayfinder deck or something, you're going to want 4 Murderous Cuts in your deck because it's just going to be 1 mana destroy target creature. And that is an extremely powerful effect, as we have seen before with the cards like Swords of Plowshares or Path to Exile or things like that.
And Dismember as of recent.
Dismember too, yeah. And this actually has the potential to be almost better than Dismember. I don't think it will be because sometimes you need to kill something on turn 1. It's going to be very close.
Yeah.
And then beyond that we have a bunch of normal control cards: Downfall, Dissolve, Divination, Ingenuity, Thoughtseize. So without access to Revelation and Verdict, this deck became more of a blue-black control deck, splashing white rather than vice versa. So we wanted to, I have an Urborg in the deck, and I wanted to be able to cast like Thoughtseize early and Downfall early and things like that, because these are now like the best removal spells we have access to. And another thing that has changed too is we have Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, where previously I thought this card was just really bad in Standard. And it may be true that it's still not that good, but I know in Block Constructed, Ashiok was very powerful when everyone was playing these mid-range Courser, Polukranos decks or whatever. You play your Ashiok before they can play their Courser sometimes, +1, and now like their next turn they're just going to play some random creature, and you can put in whatever you got off of it, like a dragon or a Courser or any number of other cards. So I actually think that Ashiok could be very good, especially backed up with cards like Thoughtseize. So I don't know that I built this deck I think I could have built this deck better to take advantage of Ashiok, which is a lot of cheap interaction, and then Ashiok. So the board's going to be clear when you cast Ashiok, I think is an important thing.
If that route ends up being something that a deck like this wants to take advantage of, that makes Murderous Cut even more better than it already even better than it already is.
Definitely. And also Nyx Fleece Ram too. So this may seem a little out of place to main deck Nyx Fleece Ram, but we don't have Revelation anymore, so we don't have a way to gain life. Yeah. So Nyx Fleece Ram's pretty important because one of the issues with the Esper control decks and block constructed was you would have complete control of the game. You'd have an Elspeth, you'd have like 7 removal spells in your hand, and your opponent's playing some dirtily creature deck, and they would just lightning strike you twice and you'd die. And you're like, I just can't gain life. I'm just at 6 life and I can't gain life and I'm just dead.
Yep.
So I wanted to have a way to gain some life back so that we don't run into that situation where, you know, I have 2 Wraths, you know, a Jace's Ingenuity, and a Banishing Light in my hand, and my opponent just casts a haste creature and kills me, or just like lightning strikes me and kills me,
yeah.
And I just can't ever gain life. So I think having access to Nyx Fleece Ram to be able to gain some life is pretty important. And then Prognostic Sphinx was like the best finisher in block, and I think it stands to be pretty good here too. It blocks cards like Starkon and Stormbreath Dragon, and it kills Planeswalkers very well. So, but yeah, this is the main deck for the Esper deck. Let's go ahead and look at the sideboard. All right, we are back with the sideboard. To start things off, we have everyone's favorite 1/1 Death Touch for 1. Certainly my favorite, better than Typhoid Rats, Sedge Scorpion, or Freakish Chosen. Ruthless Ripper. So Ruthless Ripper is a new 1/1 Death Touch for 1 from Khans. The 13th in his line, I guess you could say, because there's a lot of those lately. He has a small upside that you can morph him for 3 mana as a 2/2. And you can also unmorph by revealing a black card from your hand, and your opponent loses 2 life. So the reason to play a card like this is because I really anticipate that the format's going to involve a lot of Polukranos and Corsair Kruphix, and Ruthless Ripper is just a very cheap. It's like a 1 mana. It's like a 1 mana ticking time bomb Doomblade. You just play it on turn 1, and it's eventually going to kill something. Maybe not exactly when you want it to, but you can basically stick it and forget about it. If we play like a Ripper on 1, we can play Ashiok on 3 and not worry about like Polukranos killing our Ashiok. Yep. So there's a lot of advantages to playing a card like this. A couple of Bioblights for any of the like super aggressive type decks or whatever. Bioblight's pretty important there. Faded Retribution, good against basically the kind of deck that like CVM is playing today. Any kind of heavy Planeswalker creature type deck, having access to Faded Retribution is pretty sweet. I didn't want to play too many of them because it does cost triple white, and white's kind of more of a splashier color in the deck. But we can fetch planes if we need to with like Flooded Strands. So we can play around it if we need to, but I don't want to have too many of those. A couple more Nyx Fleece Rams for aggressive decks, a couple Deicides for Banishing Lights and Gods and things like that, Corsair Kruphix, etc. And then I have Negate and Jace's Ingenuity for the Control Mirror, which I don't even know if there will be a Control Mirror because I'm not sure that control decks are even going to be that viable. But it's still worth to be prepared for those kinds of decks anyway. And that is what the Empty the Pits is for as well. Originally, I saw this card and I thought it was just the Pits. Turns out it's actually Empty the Pits. But basically, this card is going to let you go super deep into a Control Mirror. Like, one of the issues is without Elixir or Aetherling, it's actually hard to win the game against a control deck. Like, you cast your Elspeth, they downfall it. They cast theirs, you downfall it. You both just have a million removal spells in hand, staring at each other. Like, it's, maybe Prognostic Sphinx eventually gets there, but if you both have a Prognostic Sphinx, they just bounce off each other. So eventually what happens is you're gonna need some way to break through, and I think Empty the Pits is that card, where you can, late in the game, you can delve like 20 cards out of your graveyard, make, you know, a lethal amount of zombies, untap and kill them. And you can do it, you can only spend 4 mana on it and leave counter magic up to protect it as well. So
yeah, it's actually pretty sweet.
I think it's actually probably pretty good in a control mirror type matchup. But anyway, this is the Esper control deck that I'm going to be battling against CVM. I guess we will get to his deck tech next, where he is going to be battling with some monsters.
Some familiar faces.
Surprise, surprise.